Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
You.
We are strapping in for a high-speed run through what's setting X on fire right now.
All the buzz.
Get ready for the essential info, the stuff you absolutely need to know, delivered with zero hesitation. Let's do this.
Okay, first out of the gate, Adit Suleiman is coming in hot with a post declaring Europe created a monster.
Ooh, strong words.
Yeah, they're hammering on the EU cookie law, listing those, endlessly annoying pop-ups.
Ugh, tell me about it.
The over 10 billion it apparently costs businesses, and the claim of absolutely zero real privacy protection.
10 billion euros. Just think about that for a second. That's,
Yeah.
wow. And they've got a point about those pop-ups. It's just reflex, right?
Yep.
Click accept all to get to the actual content.
Exactly. We're talking about the EU's privacy directive here, that foundational cookie law from, 2002, updated 2009?
Right, the old one.
Right. The argument is this regulation, while, intended for user privacy, has morphed into this massive financial hurdle for European businesses.
And especially hitting startups, right? I saw that mention of 1,000 to 10,000 yearly costs. That's rough.
Yeah, exactly. And the image they shared, a cookie taking over the EU flag stars. Pretty telling about their perspective, huh?
Definitely makes a statement. But the bigger question is it even doing what it's supposed to do?
Well, Adit Suleiman suggests not. They point out that, most EU sites use banners, like 67%. Full compliance is way lower, maybe only 15%.
Only 15%. So most aren't even fully following the rules.
Apparently not. Plus, with sophisticated tracking like browser fingerprinting, which, analyzes unique aspects of your browser to identify you without cookies, the law's effectiveness is seriously undermined.
Right. Technology kind of leapfrogged the regulation.
Sort of, yeah. And what's really interesting is how users themselves feel. That Pew survey mentioned, 62% find the banners annoying.
No surprise there.
And 45% don't even think they improve privacy. So you've got these huge costs, widespread annoyance.
For questionable privacy gains, at best. Okay, let's shift gears fast. @Adish drops this quote from Steve Jobs. I've never found in my whole life that you could convince someone who doesn't want to work hard to work hard.
Oof. Straight to the point.
Totally.
And coming from Jobs, it definitely resonates, in the business world. Adit Sheth, who's CEO of Neat Prompts, they do AI adoption stuff for businesses, uses this to underscore that critical role of intrinsic motivation.
Yeah, especially now, right, in the dynamic field of AI.
Exactly. It's that fundamental idea, isn't it? You can't really force someone to be dedicated. That drive has to come from within.
Especially in a sector like AI where you need constant learning, pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
You got to want it.
Precisely. It connects to that broader idea, self-determination theory. People are just more motivated when they're driven by their own interests, not just external pressure.
Makes sense. Okay, moving swiftly on. We've got a very concise and intrigued post from @Elon Musk.
Cool.
Yeah, not exactly a deep dive in itself.
There's not much context there.
True, but the context is everything here. This was his response to a query about @Gorkan's video summaries.
Ah.
Okay.
And it came after some high praise from @Scoblizer about how well Grok summarized his video on brain-computer interfaces and augmented reality.
Okay, whoa. Brain-computer interfaces and AR. That's the real cutting-edge stuff.
Totally. So the idea is AI could fundamentally change how we interact with video, maybe, like thought-controlled navigation, or seamlessly blending digital and real-world visuals.
Mind-blowing possibility.
That's the potential. And apparently, Grok's summary even touched on the significant privacy and ethical considerations that come with tech that powerful.
Yeah, you'd have to, wouldn't you? That raises some really important questions about navigating those ethical bits as tech races ahead.
Definitely.
Okay, let's hit the markets. @TypesFast is asking, market doesn't like Buffett retiring. How is this not priced in? He's 94, and there's a link attached.
Yeah, what stands out here is the apparent surprise in the market. Berkshire Hathaway's Class B stock, BRKB, saw a notable drop, like 6.39% after Warren Buffett's retirement announcement.
Even though he's 94. And didn't we know Greg Abel was taking over?
Exactly. That's the thing. His succession by Greg Abel has been public knowledge since, 2021.
So you'd think that kind of news would be already factored into the stock price, right? It wasn't exactly out of the blue.
Precisely. This suggests that even with well-defined succession plans, the market can still have this emotional reaction to the departure of iconic figures.
It's like a personality premium that just vanished.
Sort of, yeah. Some replies mentioned other things like operating earnings dipping, but the timing with the retirement news is hard to ignore. It really highlights that icon risk.
Even when the handover seems smooth on paper.
Right. Investors maybe hadn't fully internalized the new leadership, or maybe Buffett's intangible influence is just harder to quantify and price in.
And building on that, a Kramer Tracker chimes in with, how was Warren Buffett's retirement not priced in? He's like 95 years old. Another link here.
Yeah, really emphasizing that same point about potential market inefficiencies or, that emotional element.
So BRKA dropped too.
Yeah. Yep. The Class A stock also saw a significant decline, about 5.84%. It makes you consider the power of emotional trading and just how much influence these huge figures can still wield, even when retirement is, well, inevitable.
It does. And a Kramer Tracker's post also kind of hints at maybe underlying concerns about Berkshire's operational performance, like adopting AI in insurance.
That's a crucial point. Maybe it's not just about Buffett leaving. This leadership transition is happening while Berkshire faces its own strategic challenges.
So the question becomes, how able will steer the ship through all that?
Exactly. Big shoes to fill and new waters to navigate.
Okay, quick pivot. Acumenismus has a personal announcement. Dear friends, about 1.5 years ago, I started using X with a link.
Okay, so here we see the launch of a new newsletter. It's called Superintelligence.
Catchy name.
Right. Acumenismus is editor-in-chief, and they'll be diving into AI, robotics, and significant tech breakthroughs. They frame AI as a pivotal social revolution.
Sounds pretty ambitious. Are they doing it alone?
No, they mention partnering with experienced entrepreneurs, Dan and Peter, and have plans to expand into a full website and other ventures down the line.
Makes sense. It really reflects the intense interest around AI right now, doesn't it?
Totally. The fact that someone with a big X following is dedicating a whole newsletter to this stuff speaks volumes about the current excitement.
Okay, next up, a social observation from @the_Sampar. Most of my buds do not drink. It's great to see alcohol being less popular.
This is interesting. A look at evolving social norms. @the_Sampar notes that many in their circle, particularly like parents and entrepreneurs, are opting out of drinking.
Why is that, according to the post?
The reasons given are pretty practical. Avoiding hungover parenting, which I get,
Yeah.
and wanting to pursue goals unhindered, staying focused.
It definitely feels like there's a noticeable shift happening there. Maybe a growing awareness of how alcohol impacts well-being and productivity.
Exactly. It seems to align with broader trends showing less alcohol consumption, especially among younger folks. It does make you wonder how attitudes are changing.
For sure. Now, strong statement from @Shamath. Private credit is eating private equity, along with a link. Sounds significant.
Yeah, this highlights a potential major shift in the financial world. Chamath points to the comparatively lower returns of private equity over the past 5 years or so.
Lower returns and low DPI for LPs, the post said.
Right, low distributions back to the limited partners. Meanwhile, private credit is apparently delivering better cash flow and returns for investors right now.
That's a pretty seismic shift if it holds true.
Huh.
What could be the wider effects, like beyond the finance bros?
Well, Chamath suggests that private credit will increasingly become the main funding source for companies, meaning they could stay independent for longer, less pressure to IPO maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it could potentially boost the economy through more competition, more innovation, staying private longer.
That's the idea. Less pressure for quick exits, more focus on long-term building, potentially.
All right, now at our Farag post. FT confirmed the cursor round today. People tell me it's DST. Link included.
Okay, this confirms a big funding event. AI-powered coding tools are hot. The Financial Times reported that Cursor's latest funding round grew.
Grew.
From what? Apparently, it was talked about around $600 million, but it expanded to approximately $900 million.
$900 million, wow. And DST is reportedly involved.
Yeah, speculation points to DST as the lead investor. This connects to the Windsurf deal mentioned in replies too.
What's that? Another coding tool?
Likely refers to Windsurf, yeah, another AI coding assistant. The fact that both are attracting such massive investment really underscores the boom in this area. Everyone wants AI help for coding.
Huge demand, huge investor belief. Got it. Okay, next up, @TomDoer shares a link. Convert a Docker image into a standalone executable you can run or share. Sounds handy.
It does. The tool is Docker 2xe. Basically, it lets you package a Docker image into a single executable file.
So you can run it on systems even if they don't have Docker installed.
That's the pitch. Could definitely
Yeah.
simplify things for distributing apps.
And I saw the replies seem kind of mixed.
Yeah, that's right. Some loved the simplification idea, but others pointed out it might still rely on Docker bits in the background, so standalone might be a bit generous.
Ah, okay. So
Ah.
maybe not truly standalone.
Perhaps not entirely. Reflects that ongoing search for easier ways to get containerized apps out there, though.
Right. Now, for something a bit more philosophical from @SlippyDoge, time is the real currency, not money.
Deep. It's a powerful statement, isn't it? About the fundamental value of our time.
Totally. Money comes and goes.
Exactly. @SlippyDoge emphasizes that unlike money, which you can, earn and lose and earn again, time is finite. Irreplaceable.
It's true. You can't get yesterday back. The post also mentions DOGE, which is interesting, linking it to crypto.
Yeah, maybe highlighting the contrast. In crypto, things move so fast, FOMO is real, but even then, the underlying resource you're spending or gaining against is time. Makes time seem even more precious, maybe.
Good point. Okay, next. @Hassan Toxer declares, OpenAI literally dropped a 24-page masterclass on adopting AI the right way. Link included.
This is about OpenAI's recent AI in the Enterprise report. It's a pretty beefy 24-page guide.
A masterclass, huh? What's it cover?
It outlines 7 key lessons for businesses trying to integrate AI successfully, based on insights from companies already, doing it at the frontier.
Sounds useful for companies trying to figure this stuff out. Any examples of the lessons?
Yeah, things like starting with really well-defined use cases, customizing AI models to your specific needs, and fostering a culture of experimentation. Very practical, actionable advice.
Though I bet some people saw it as just an ad for OpenAI.
Oh, for sure. Reactions varied. Some found it super valuable. Others maybe saw it as a bit of a veiled promotion. Probably a bit of both.
Right. Now, Minchoy exclaims, wild, this ChatGPT 03 prompt to a $20 co-growth consultant in your pocket, with a link, of course.
Whoa, that's a statement. A striking example of AI potentially disrupting, expensive humans.
A $20 K consultant in your pocket. Seriously.
That's the claim. The prompt is supposedly designed to do tasks like deep competitive analysis, develop growth strategies, prioritize actions, stuff you'd pay a consultant big bucks for.
Okay, that is wild if it works even half as well. Which version of ChatGPT are they talking about?
It mentions O3, so likely one of the newer, more powerful models. The Post attributes the prompt to Matt Schumer. It definitely makes you think about the future of consulting firms, like MBB.
Yeah, are they sweating a bit? Maybe they should be.
Could be. How will they adapt when AI can replicate some of that strategic thinking? Big question.
Okay, we've got a link-only post next from @Signal. What's the story here?
So this link seems to point to a discussion about professionals using AI tools like ChatGPT to help write workplace emails.
Oh yeah, I've seen stuff about this. People using it for everything.
Pretty much. The context suggests examples like managers using AI for sick leave responses, sometimes even forgetting to remove the prompt text.
Oops, that's awkward. But it shows how much AI is becoming part of everyday work communication.
It really is. Huge potential for efficiency, obviously. But it also brings up concerns, right?
Like what? Losing your own voice?
Exactly. That and maybe a potential brain drain if we rely on it too much for critical thinking or crafting careful messages. There's a balance to strike.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword. Okay, a post from at White House, the Declaration of Independence, Such, with a link. Can't get more foundational than that.
Indeed. Shared on May 5th, 2025, but obviously referencing the document adopted July 4th, 1776. A powerful reminder of the U.S.'s origins, its ideals.
While also acknowledging the historical context, right? The contradictions, like slaveholders penning lines about equality.
Absolutely crucial context. And you see that reflected in the replies, ongoing debates about history, legacy, what those ideals mean today.
Always relevant, always debated.
Exactly.
Next up, @Arav Srinivas shares, Perplexity on WhatsApp is super convenient way to use AI when in a flight. Practical tip.
Yeah, Aravind Srinivas, who's the CEO of Perplexity AI, is highlighting their WhatsApp integration. Apparently, it works pretty well, even with spotty in-flight Wi-Fi.
Oh, because messaging apps are often optimized for low bandwidth.
Precisely. So you can still query the AI, get info. He gives an example about Greek mythology, asking about Titans.
That is pretty convenient. Just chat with the AI on WhatsApp.
Yeah, it speaks to that trend of integrating AI into platforms we already use constantly. makes it more accessible.
Though I guess privacy questions come up again using a third-party AI via WhatsApp.
It's always a consideration with these integrations, yeah.
Yeah.
Something users need to be aware of.
Okay, now a more provocative post from @VigilantFox. For decades, Big Pharma has convinced us that aging bones are a disease.
Yeah, this is definitely a controversial take. The post suggests the diagnosis of osteoporosis is basically a scam by Big Pharma to sell drugs.
A scam? How so?
They argue that natural bone thinning with age is being, pathologized. Compared unfairly to a 30-year-old's bones using DEXA scans, that's the bone density scan tech.
So they're saying it's overdiagnosed because we're comparing older bones to a younger standard.
That's the core argument. They also raise concerns about the osteoporosis drugs themselves, bisphosphonates, suggesting they might actually weaken bones long-term by messing with the natural bone breakdown and rebuilding process.
Wow, that goes against the grain. They suggest lifestyle changes instead.
Yeah, focus on exercise, nutrition, that sort of thing, rather than medication as the primary approach. Definitely challenges the established medical view.
Okay, nearly there.
Yeah.
We've got Adcock Brett from Figure posting about robotics at BMW. The Figure team wrapped up a productive 2-week visit at BMW Group plant Spartanburg last month.
Right. Brett Adcock from Figure AI. This highlights their ongoing work with BMW using Figure's humanoid robots.
Humanoid robots in a car factory.
Yeah, they've been working at BMW's Spartanburg plant, specifically in the X3 body shop, trying to optimize how the robots can be used, find new use cases.
Sounds like progress in automating manufacturing.
That's the goal. Integrating advanced robotics into industrial settings.
Any skepticism around this?
Well, sometimes with these high-profile partnerships, you hear whispers about how much is real integration versus, good PR. Hard to tell from the outside sometimes.
Fair point. And finally, at Autism Capital brings a wave of nostalgia with. Never forget how good we had it. Sharing a link.
Ah, yeah. This post features a YNAMP playlist. Early 2000s vibes.
YNAB, it really whips the llamas. Well,
Exactly. That iconic MP3 player. The playlist is full of emo, nu metal, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park. Takes you right back.
Oh, man, totally. Downloading MP3s off. Questionable sources.
Yeah. A different era. Nostalgia for pre-streaming days, even with all the risks back then.
Simpler times, maybe. Or just rose-tinted glasses.
Probably a bit of both. It's funny how music anchors memories like that.
Well, that was a rapid-fire blast through the buzzing topics on X today. From EU rules to AI breakthroughs to YNAB playlists.
Absolutely covered the spectrum. Each post is just a little snapshot of the massive conversation happening online right now. We definitely encourage you to dive deeper. Check out the links if something caught your ear.
For sure. And thinking about all that, the speed, the different takes, what single trend, or maybe just one tiny insight really grabbed your attention today, and why? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Vibecasting.